Welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Sunday, March 2nd, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are our Page of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 9 of Cups in its reversal. Let's talk a little bit about this energy right now, because here's the thing about it. We are experiencing the combination effect of the Pisces new moon, right? Moving into that full moon in Virgo, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, this is self-conscious energy. There's no other way to describe it. It is self-conscious energy. And that's why I want you to be navigating that with a sense of compassion for the self, because that journey, right, working in the context of what we are working upon, I want to tell you right now, there's a lot of work that is being identified in relationality to setting a standard for oneself, right? All of this energy that we're experiencing right now, it's much more akin to what we would typically expect way back in December. Okay? Like it's resolution energy. It feels very much like the energetic resolution point. And the thing about resolution energy is sometimes we feel and this is what we talk about as it relates to the nature of transformation, right? When we get sick of ourselves, when we get frustrated with ourselves, right? We often come into those spaces that we set like new rules for ourselves. But a lot of this work, and I'm seeing it even here, like it's a lot of that feeling of like it's hard because it's like trying to find the words for something. Okay. So if you're feeling this right now, if you're feeling that sense of both focusing on the self and being very hypercritical on the self, I want you to recognize this is the vibe right now. Okay. And the way that we navigate through that is we hold ourselves with a large point of compassion. We recognize and understand where that work is. We are conscientious of it, right? And that's why when we're in a healthy space, we delight on the journey of setting those changes for ourselves. We have those moments of seeing how far we have come, right? And a lot of that nostalgia is also coming through right now, because I just want to describe it like the thing that we have to identify is the fact that with like all these planets in Pisces that we have had to experience since the start of this year, it's working and the combination force of Pluto moving into Aquarius. It's confusing. It's feeling something confusing. It's not having the words for something. It's trying to find the language, right? For a lot of the energy in separation right now, I see that feeling of frustration is what is moving the energy forward, right? It's in those moments, and this is why we see it even now, because we're starting to hit that Mercury retrograde pre-shadow point, right? We start getting like those spaces of being like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of feeling this way, right? Like sometimes transformation happens when we start to feel like we're in a rut. And I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy right now that is working into that space. And I keep on hearing the energy saying, anything is better than this, right? Like, and that's why it feels scorpionic, because scorpionic energy is often in that moment, like the transformative power of navigating discomfort that allows for a breakthrough. Like Scorpio goes like, you're welcome. Thank you. like anything is better. Like anything is better than this. Like sometimes we find bravery. Like sometimes we find bravery through those journeys, right? It's like working through that sense of being like, they're saying like, keep on hearing the message of Scorpio Scorpio is really good at these. I'll point this out. Scorpio energy will sometimes navigate change by putting themselves in uncomfortable situations, knowing like knowing that they're externalizing that work to a certain degree because they recognize and understand themselves enough in that way. Right? It's like that space of like challenging ourselves. But a lot of this work, like the thing about it is it's it feels frustrating. It's working through that frustration point. But that's why I keep on seeing and getting the message that it's really important as you do so to hold a lot of compassion for oneself in the process. Because I keep on getting the message that says like when we're in a not healthy space, we either project that forward or we over internalize it, right? Like when we're not in a healthy space, we're often in that space that we say, you suck, right? Like we don't want to do the work. We point to someone else and say they suck, right? Or when we're in that space that's unhealthy, we overcorrect and we put it to ourselves to go, I suck, right? But when we're in a healthy space, we just say this sucks, right? Because it's that moment that we're able to see something with clarity, right? We're not trying to project it outward. We're not trying to over internalize it. And when we look at a situation and it's frustrating, it gives us the means to be able to act upon it. Right? So there's a lot of this energy that I keep on seeing, like the observation of what you can change that feels like that point of getting one's energy back. And so that's what I keep on seeing. Like this is a lot of energy and separation. And I want to say like it feels very purging, right? It feels very cleansing because that's the energy that I see even now. Like that's what they're talking about with some of that feeling, because that's the energy that says, yeah, I got out of something that was feeling uncomfortable. Like if this is energy that was like, yeah, I was in a situation where someone was kind of continually telling me that I sucked. They're like, I can't fix that. Right? That's the energy that goes, I can't fix that. That's the nature of the energetic connection, right? Or going through those experiences of looking at something in the past and being like constantly someone that projects it outward. I can see a lot of that energy identifying and recognizing that often becomes the same problem, right? Like I keep on seeing it's the same problem in different forms. And that's why I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy that's coming out of separation with a warrior mentality via all of that work that we did with Mars in retrograde, right? And what does the energy of the warrior do? Like the warrior energy, the reason that we call it warrior energy is that warriors are conscientious as to where they put their energy, right? Warriors don't rush into every situation. Warriors are discerning as to what feels like it is in a space of something that can be repaired, right? Versus what's not. And so I keep on hearing a lot of this energy in separation, building new connections with someone. Like I can hear the energy saying, and what is the energy saying as they're building the connection? They're saying, it was the hardest thing I had to do to walk away from something, right? Because that is the energetic equivalent of being able to articulate upon the reasons. I keep on hearing the healthy energy that's building new connections by being able to extrapolate the reasons why something did not work. Right? And that's the energy that also recognizes themselves in that space, because that's not the energy that projects it outward onto another, right? And says, oh, it was all them. Nor does that energy say, oh, it was all me. That's the energy that sees with clarity. And it's that clarity of seeing, being able to understand and identify where the work is, that is also building the bridge as it relates to new energetic connections. Because I can hear that energy saying we're almost finishing each other's sentences. Because this is the energy that says, when you're in alignment and you feel you've experienced the frustration of trying to build a connection with someone that's not invested in the work, that experience is trauma. It can be traumatizing. And so I keep on hearing a lot of this energy building into new energetic connections where someone is saying to one degree or another, say less. And why is the energy saying say less? It's not the energy saying say less, I don't want to hear you. It's the energy saying say less, I understand you completely. You don't need to explain it. While for masculine and feminine, that is coming into divine union. This is why I see this energy going Like I'm going to tell you right now, I keep on seeing the fact that the energy coming into divine union is opening their eyes, and then they're going, oh my goodness. Why is the energy going, opening their eyes and then going, oh my goodness, right? Because that's what we talk about when we talk about an awakening moment. We awaken to something that we could not see within the self. And so sometimes, like in those moments when we do that, it's like the awakening that feels like we open our eyes, and then it's that moment that we pull them back, because and I keep on saying, this is energy coming into divine union, looking back and seeing what they could not see before, right? Like, this is what we talk about. We feel that weight, like and I keep on seeing that space of like, this is the energy that holds the past version of self with profound empathy, because this is the energetic equivalent or the energetic force of identifying and holding with love of the self, that past version of the self that could not see something. And when we cannot see, I keep on getting the message, like, when we cannot see, we knock on the wrong doors. We try to fix things that cannot be fixed, right? We work in that space that, and that's why I see this energy and talking towards it, like coming into partnership. It feels like that clarity is there. And this is why I keep on hearing this energy is going through renovations right now, because I keep on hearing them say they're building new rooms to hold the apologies they owe others in the context of working on the self. They're like, this is my room of apologies. This is the room of apologies people owe me. But that's why they keep on saying to me, like, and this was interesting about it, is they keep on saying, the apologies they're being held, because this is the energy that is also working through the context of saying, while I may want to get something off my chest, I recognize that often when we want to get something off our chest, it doesn't allow for closure. Like, and this is why, and I told you, like, one of the major things that was coming through during the alignment was that a true apology is a plan, right? And that's why I see that this energy is going like this as it relates to their apologies. Because why is the energy coming into divine union going like this as it relates to their apologies? Because this is the energy that says, should the day come of sublimity that allows for me to give someone that apology, then that is well and good, or to receive or to ask for it. But this is the energy that says, I do not chase someone down to provide it, because when we bring someone an apology, and we understand the assignment, we often feel like an apology is the plan. So this is the energy that says, I don't want someone to get misinformed by an apology and feel that that apology is trying to, like I don't want to wound someone in the context of giving it, especially if they might not receive it in the same fashion, right? So there's a lot of that energetic discernment that I see, and it's having to navigate the complication of being in a space of trying to be well-intentioned as it relates to where one puts one's apologies, right? And this is the energy I keep on seeing, and especially if they need the apology, this is the energy that says no hard feelings, right? This is the energy that says I don't need, like, often an indication point of when we're in a space of healing is the energy that says, we recognize when we're in a healed space that we don't ask someone for an apology, because this is the energy that says, like, why would I go up to someone and say, give me a plan? Like, it's the sense that when we're recognizing of the fact that we owe another of it, we come towards each other with that same discernment. So I'm just telling you right now, do you see the fact that, like, even here, all of this Venus in retrograde is taking over some of the energy deep within divine union, because I see this energy coming into divine union going, what do I do with it? What do I do with this apology? Or what do I do with this need for an apology? They're building energetic altars for the apology. They're honoring the apology, right? While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, this is a lot of this, like, it's, I feel like a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now is just in pure Aries energy. But it also feels, and it's interesting too, because I've got a lot of scorpionic energy occurring for the energy in separation, but I feel that there's a lot of scorpionic energy that's coming through for the energy deep within divine union as well, because that's the energy that is like I keep on seeing like welcoming transformation, like trying to like peel back the layers of the self, right? And that's that work. Like that's that work that we sometimes have, that like, you know, it's that same feeling of identifying and honoring the sense of being a perpetual work in progress. Right? Like that's the best way to carry some of this Venus and retrograde energy. Right? Like it's welcoming the change. Center card in for today's spread. Yep, especially with the Four of Wands in its reversal. There is a, how do I put this best? There is a clumsiness to this energy right now, right? And let's talk a little bit about clumsiness, right? Because, and I'll put it this way, when we are in a space of navigating, and I think we just actually talked about this right before we started the podcast. It was coming up. It's a conversation about the fact that when we are energetically clumsy, the universe arrives to catch us to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that keeps on that keeps on coming through. There's almost this like space of feeling, working through that sense of compassion as it relates to, working like not having to be in a like, and this is interesting. I'm not okay. So this is interesting. They're saying that there's something really beautiful about clumsiness, because clumsiness, how we navigate clumsiness is a conversation about how we welcome our own authenticity, right? Right? Like when we're like, it's a difference. I keep on getting the sense of the difference between the feeling of those that laugh with us versus those that laugh at us, right? And when we're in a space of like, I want to say compassion for the self, right? And this is what we talk about, like, there's an endearment quality to it. And that's what they're basically saying, right? Is like when we are in a healthy space and we're clumsy, like we are like they're saying think about it a lot like you would think about it with another person. Right? When someone overly apologizes for being clumsy, we sometimes say like like it's not something that you intended to do. It's like you just, you hold it in a space of love. But often this is that separation point that we say, yeah, of course I do that for anyone else, but not myself. You know what I mean? Like that's the energy that goes, but not me. I don't deserve that, right? Like we often get in those spaces that we recognize the paradox between, I keep on seeing the standard that we set for others versus the standard that we set for ourselves. And that's why, and the guides are clear on this. They're like, it's okay to hold yourself. Like all of us do this. Like when we're in the work, when we feel like we're on a mission of the self, like that's literally the identification point that we say to ourselves, I hold myself to a higher standard, right? Like the guides have a hard time with this because the guides are like, yeah, we know it's part and parcel for the work. You can't avoid it. But you have to have grace and compassion in recognition of the fact that you're holding yourself to a higher standard than those around you, right? Like that's what the guys, like that's basically what they're trying to say. Like if you're holding like that space of compassion and holding oneself, it's okay. They're saying it's okay to hold oneself to a higher standard, but you have to have compassion if you stumble trying to do something exceptional. I'm going to say that again because it's important. It's okay to hold yourself to a higher standard, but you have to hold compassion for yourself if you are clumsy in the process of trying to be exceptional. And that's coming through across all of the frequencies, right? Because like there's a lot of that, like that's what, and that's going to help us through some of this Venus, like I'm telling you right now, like a little bit of this Venus in retrograde with Mercury retrograde, it's like it's a little bit of Phantom of the Opera energy, right? It's a little bit of like, don't look at me. Like it's a little bit of, it's that kind of energy. And so I want you to, if you're feeling like that right now, if you're like, like, yeah, like welcome to the vibe, right? But that's why the universe is like, like just, like, it's like, just, it's okay. Like just like working, like, I don't know. I keep on hearing Leo is going to help us right now through this. I got to see what's going on there. The sun's going to help us because like, it's, and this is why they're saying it, because they're saying, and this is what they're reaffirming. Think about anyone you love. Think about anyone you love. Now tell me, do you love them because they're perfect? Or do you love them because in the places they stumble, they're even more beautiful, right? The eccentricities. We fall in love with one another, not because we are perfect, but because our uniqueness makes us ourselves, right? And that's why the guides say there are no flaws, there are only facets. It's okay to have parts of yourself that you don't like. That's why you work on them, right? You don't pretend they're not there. What do you do with a flaw? You polish it. You try to make it shine. You work with it, So there's a little bit of this type of energy here. And that's happening across all of the frequencies. Now, fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread. And this is why I keep on hearing, what makes it different makes it mine, right? What makes it different makes it mine. Those moments of uniqueness, right? Like that's how we identify something that we possess, right? Often, and I like to point this out, sometimes we have something that's perfect and then we get mad at ourselves because something happens to it. But then we recognize that is, and this is why it feels very wabi-sabi. There's nothing else like it now. You know what I mean? Like it's the moment that we identify that expression point. Like when we're in a space that we have compassion for the wear and tear of ourselves, we build a preciousness around it, right? Like it's almost in that moment that someone says like, you're like, I'm okay with that because I keep on getting every flaw is a story. Every scar is a journey, right? All of those moments that we sometimes perseverate over or get really focused upon, those are the places that we build our altars because those are what make us unique. So holding ourselves in that space, like you have to embrace some of this wabi-sabi right now, or this month is going to be, it's going to be very difficult. Okay. Case in point. Fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread. For those who are following the podcast, as soon as I said that, I knocked something over. So we have here, look, there it is, our Queen of Wands in its reversal and our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal. We love ourselves by not taking ourselves too seriously. Absolutely. We love ourselves by not taking ourselves too seriously. And why do we say that? Because no hard feelings, right? We love ourselves in the space of not taking ourselves too seriously. Because in that moment that we don't take ourselves too seriously, we give everyone else around us the grace to do so as well, right? It's not about perfection. It's about the aspiration to move towards perfection. And there's always going to be those, and we recognize that when we're trying to move towards perfection and we're trying to do something exceptional, we're always going to fail. We're always going to slip. We're always going to stumble, right? But that's why that journey is so beautiful, because when you're doing something that you never done before, you have to be willing to embrace looking clumsy doing it, right? Because that sense of clumsiness is what allows you to find something, right? It's like if a child, right? If a baby, and this is like if a baby was worried about looking silly in the journey of learning how to walk, the child would never learn how to walk, right? And this is the thing about it. When we are so worried about how others perceive us, it blocks us from being able to find ourselves, because we have to welcome some of that clumsiness as a gift, right? The courage it takes to let others participate in the discovery of what is for us, right? That clumsiness is beautiful. And I keep on seeing that this is helping a lot of that energy in separation, particularly if these are energies or experiences where someone's saying, I had to leave because that person said they were not going to offer me partnership until I was perfect. I had to leave because something that I cared about myself, another person kept pointing out and saying that it was a flaw. I had to go when I recognized that there was something that I could not change about myself, that another person was utilizing as a blockage point in order to move forward. Because it's in that moment of recognition that we identify and say, I can't fix that, right? And a space like, I can't fix how you feel about me. We've talked a lot about this space where often when someone is saying to us how they feel, how we make them feel, but without doing the introspection, it can feel like the grief that creates, because we say, I cannot reach into you. I cannot reach into you and take that feeling out of you. And this is why we say, with all the compassion and love in our hearts, when we're in a healthy space, the way you feel about me, respectfully, is not my responsibility. If I trigger you, it is not my fault. If you love me, it is not my fault. And this is why when we love one another, it is a gift, because when we tell someone how we feel and we say to them like that, like, again, I give this to you because it's the energetic responsibility of how I feel about you, right? When we say to one another, our feelings are not each other's responsibility, it is the greatest gift that we can give one another, because then that says that when I give you something good, it is a gift from my heart. It is the gift that is beyond words. But when when we try to block each other and say, hey, come here, I'm not done telling you how I feel about you, right? We recognize the difference between the energetic relationships of captivation, which often, again, what did we say, are built entirely on expectation, trying to meet another's demands without any perspective as to why, right? Versus the healthy energetic partnership that is built fully on intention, and we shed expectations on that journey, right? It is a relationship, because it is a ship that we are together upon, and we are with each other for the journey, come what may, for better or worse. This is why all of the expression of that says, every one of those words that we have and articulate upon binding each other to oneself, they start by saying, with no expectations as it relates to what I want to bring forth from you or what you demand from me. We are here with each other for the journey of becoming. That is the energetic commitment. I am here with you on that journey. I'm here with you on that energetic transformation. I'm not trying to change you or cultivate you into something. I am here to see what you become. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through with the Magician, right? There's a lot of work happening across all of the frequencies right now in relationality to, I keep on getting, embodying the lesson instead of trying to teach a lesson, right? Working through this. Righteousness is ridiculous, because when we hold on to something because it makes us feel good, because it makes everybody seem less around us, that is already the guides keep saying that's like the reddest of flags. Like if you hold on to something because it makes you feel better than everyone around you, it is the reddest of flags. The ability to accept, like, this is why there's so much of this conversation about stumbling and working through that space of the journey, because when we're in that space where we don't feel ourselves exceptional, the compassion that we find there, the love that we find there, right? Helping each other as we navigate, looking towards each other and saying, what do you need? Instead of what are you giving me? Right? Like when we're in that space, I keep on getting, there's no qualifier. There is a beautiful harmony that occurs in that space of looking around ourselves and trying to embody or experience what it is that we feel within versus what we can give without. And that's often what happens when you're on that spiritual journey, is like you almost like want to fall to the floor crying because you're like, you don't have words to contain the capacity of love that you feel within the self, right? And that's why I kept on getting the message that was happening with a lot of that Leo full moon, like the Leo full moon that will bring you to your knees, because a lot of the Leo full moon is a journey of vulnerability, right? You can't approach a Leo full moon with a big ego because it's going to bring you to your knees one way or another. But here's the thing, when we're in a space of loving ourselves, of honoring our journey, we take a knee willingly because, and I like to point this out, we what does a warrior do? Like a warrior takes an energetic knee because they say, I am ready to serve towards that, right? And so everything I keep on seeing is this is why so much of this energy coming out of separation right now is in Virgo, because it is the recognition of identifying what one can change within the self versus what outside of the self that has to be accepted, right? And that's why I almost see that for a lot of this energy and separation, building into a new energetic connection. I keep on hearing this energy and separation saying, no topic is off the table, right? I hear the energy saying, no, like that's why they're saying the energy is in, like that's why they keep on saying to me that the energy right now in separation is in Virgo, because this is the energy that says when we are good with ourselves, like we don't shy away from talking about things, right? We're eager to discuss them. We're willing to put that work in, right? And so there's so much of this energy here that I see, and that's why I keep on hearing a lot of that sense or that space of someone saying, like I keep on hearing, say less, right? Like that's why the energy is in Virgo and separation. The reason that one is saying say less, why is someone saying say less? Are they saying say less, I don't want to hear you talk? They're going, say less, you don't need to tell me, I know. Right? That's the energy. I can see the energy being like, you don't need to explain it. I embody it. I understand it. And in those moments, like that moment where someone's telling you something and you recognize, right? Like that, like keep on getting the haunting familiarity of someone having experienced something that you yourself have experienced. Right? This is what we talk about with alignment, because this is the energy that says, I'm also doing that work right now. I'm also working through that lesson, right? It's like the energy going, it's sacred, right? And that's the energy that says, like working in that space of feeling some of like the partnerships that are coming through right now are going to feel very sacred, because it is the recognition point of what it takes. For a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, I keep on hearing a lot of this energy saying the sanctum of an apology. Why is the energy coming into divine union saying the sanctum of an apology? Because this is the energy that's recognizing that the reason we store apologies within us is because often if we just rush around giving apologies to people, like again, we had the message coming through that apologies are plans, right? A true apology is a plan. So this is the energy that is, again, saying if the sublime time ever comes to be able to extend an apology or to give someone an articulation about my perspective of something, I will take the opportunity to do so. But I'm not rushing forward to do so, right? because this is the energy that is learning the value and power of discernment as it relates to how it feels to give something to someone versus how they might receive it, right? And this is the energy saying, I don't want to give someone an apology and inadvertently cause a wound in the process. While for a lot of this energy deep within divine union, this is all Aries energy right now. Like this feels very scorpionic. It feels very transformative. This is the energy that's like, I keep on seeing, like, it feels soul bearing, right? It feels like a lot of energy in that space of desiring to bear the soul, because often, and this is the beauty of, like we talked about, like this is why, like, you know, and I need to point this out, the energy of a breakthrough and a breakdown is the same exact stuff. It's the same exact feeling, right? But it's in that space of, and this is why we talked about, like, some of that Mars retrograde is actually going to help us right now through this month, because that ability of working in that space of trying to find, like, when we feel overwhelmed and like, this is what I'm talking, like, this is what's coming through. Like when we are not at a capacity that we can handle what we feel, we try to project it out, right? You suck, right? Like, you made me feel things. You suck. Stop making me feel things, right? Or when we're in a place of not being able to navigate the capacity of emotion, we overcorrect and we blame ourselves. I suck. I can't, like, I feel like, I mean, it's the same problem. But when we're in that space and we say, this sucks, like, we show, like, we become Superman. Like, it's the energy like that. That's why they're saying bearing the soul. They're saying bearing the soul, because when the problem is there and we're able to arrive for it, we open ourselves up. We show our soul, the S on us. We show our soul, like, we arrive and say, what can I do to fix it? Right? So that's like, okay, that was a beautiful message. Okay. So that's where that was coming from. So continue. And so that's why I see a lot of that energy that is feeling the fact that the situation sucks. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to bear their soul in the process of navigating it. So it's a lot of Superman energy. Continuing to get clarification between Nine of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Four of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the World, right? And that's the thing, like, when we're carrying trauma, and we all carry trauma. We've all got trauma. We've all got trauma. And that's the thing. The world becomes a lot easier when it's not the fact that you go around saying, I'm traumatized. Everybody's traumatized. Okay? Everybody's traumatized. Just start there. Everybody's traumatized. And when we're in that space, and that's the thing, like, when we feel that space that we're like, we don't carry our trauma exceptionally, right? We look at it and say, what can I do? How can I help? Right? We don't navigate it saying, how dare you? We don't navigate it saying, help me. I can't help, right? We say, what can I do? How can I arrive here? What do you need? What needs to happen? What can I do to help? Right? It's a lot of that space of working in that context. And so I see even now, like, and that's the thing about it, like this, I feel like a lot of this energy, and I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, there could be having to navigate situations of someone saying that person feels a lot of something, but it's not productive, right? Like, sometimes we have those moments that like, and this is the thing, when someone feels a lot of something, but it's not productive, it can feel very like it's like it's working through. And I keep on seeing a lot of the work that's happening right now is having to say to someone, quality is not quantity. Feeling a lot of something doesn't fix it, right? And there's a lot of that feeling that's like, I keep on getting, it feels very much like working in the context of a plan, like what does that look like, right? Like finding that path work forward. And that's why I keep on hearing the fact that this is like Renaissance energy, because, like, again, when we're feeling like when we feel overwhelmed, right? Instead of like crumbling under the crushing weight of it, we get creative. We get creative. Well, for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, a lot of this energy, I just keep on seeing this energy being like working through emotional complication, right? If you like, and I keep on hearing the guide saying, like, if you thought that spiritual journey makes things simple, like it makes things more complicated, right? You can't just put things in boxes. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy, that's why I see, like, thank you for that, like working in that space, and that's why I keep on seeing the energy that's working through something, saying I owe someone an apology or they owe me an apology, but it's not as complicated as asking for it or giving it, because this is the energy that is mindful of the fact. And I keep on seeing, like, and this is why it's the same kind of chess work right now. There's a lot of heart chakra happening right now. This is the energy saying, I understand that if I give something to someone, it's not a gift if it felt good to get it off the chest. That's what's coming through. This is the energy that's saying it's Capricorn energy, because this is the energy that says it's not a gift if I get it off my chest. If I give something to you that I don't want, if I give something to you and it feels like an energetic relief, it's understanding that something might be that's a relief to me might be a wound to you. And it's often in those moments that we say to ourselves, oh, I'm glad I got that off your chest. You've had those conversations with someone where someone comes up to you and they're like, I just have to get something off your chest. And then you feel like they're getting it off their chest, and it feels like they're stabbing you. they're just stabbing you in the process. Because when we try to get things off our chest, while it might feel good for us, it's being energetically mindful about how another person receives it. So that's why I keep on hearing this energy says, if the sublime day ever comes that I can have that conversation, I will welcome it, but I'm not going to race after it, right? And for a lot of this energy and separation, I just keep on seeing, like, there's something, and that's why I feel like, again, I keep on getting the message that Scorpio is helping a lot of the energy right now in separation. And in that way, I have to say, I'm sorry. I'm going to just apologize for Scorpio. Because the thing with Scorpio is that Scorpio is like, I'm going to make it as unpleasant as possible. like Scorpionic energy is like, I'm going to make it as, I'm going to like Scorpionic energy is like when you're trying to like relax in a room and someone's just like coming in and doing things every 5 minutes. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to go somewhere else. And the person's like, no, you can stay here, and be like, I really can't though. And then you go, and Scorpio's like, thank you. You're welcome. I helped you. Because Scorpionic journeys are often that space of understanding that we don't transform unless we become uncomfortable. And that's why I keep on getting like Scorpio being like, like, sorry. It's giving me a lot of like the Scorpionic energy is going, sorry, not sorry. Right? Like it's like, and that's the thing about it. Like, I keep on seeing, like, I see a lot of energy being like, I need to get out of here. I need to get some fresh air. I need to go take a walk. And then suddenly, like in that moment, and this is the beauty, and this is what Mercury does too. Mercury retrograde, helping you understand the difference between, and we're already in the shadow, the difference between a groove and a rut, right? It's often in those moments that we get knocked out of our practices. If we fall back into it, it's a groove. We long for it. We miss it. If we find something new being knocked out of our groove, we suddenly are grateful for the fact that someone knocked us out of it, because that's the energy that said, if I didn't, like, that's why Mercury retrogrades are gifts to us. They help us recognize what is comfortable versus where we've gotten too comfortable, right? But it's going to annoy you first. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Queen of Wands and its reversal. One card to clarify. There it is, the Tower in its reversal though, right? And I keep on getting this message, like and this is also an identification point in helping to navigate where we are from an emotional place. Right? When things are going difficult, like it's almost that space, like, and this is the thing, like we work through the context of identifying whether We are not the problem. We are the solution, right? And that's the thing about, like, the thing I keep on trying to give you guys. That's why I kept on telling you it's really important to make sure that you're coming into this month with a grounding exercise, something that anchors you. Because with all of the eclipse energy that we're about to navigate, and a lot of that work, it's very easy to get a distorted point of view, right? And a lot of that distorted point of view is looking at something and either projecting it out and being like, it's not me, they are the problem, right? And the universe goes, right? And then the energy the energy that says, I am the problem, right? And the universe goes, it's a problem, right? Because here's the thing that they say: when someone feels hurt, and we keep on talking about this. This is why it's so, we have got to stop this idea of saying to someone, I'm going to give them a taste of their own medicine. When you give someone a taste of their own medicine, you just poison. Like, if they're giving out poison, you're just creating poison, right? Like, we don't come into a space of matching energy. We set the energetic standard, right? And that is the difference, because the force to identify and recognize is, when we say to ourselves, well, if I feel like I am hurt, then I feel validated to do anything, the unconscious mind will seek places to be hurt. This is all of that work that we've been talking about as it relates to Pluto coming into Aquarius, right? You don't get off that easy. Right? Like, and that's the thing, like that's the thing about it. Like, this is because of the shift from Pluto in Capricorn into Pluto in Aquarius. It gets more complicated because, again, when you say to yourself, oh, I was hurt, I was validated and vindicated because someone else did it to me, right? What does Pluto in Scorpio, what does Pluto in Aquarius say? Well, if all you're saying there, if you're saying that if you feel violated, if you feel harmed, then you can act out of character, guess what? That's your character. You're not stepping outside of yourself at that moment. That is who you are, right? And it's in those moments, and that's why I'm getting a lot of this, like in that space, like you have to identify, like this is what we're talking about with the heart chakra work right now, right? Like if we are exceptional and we're in a less than positive situation, right? Do we look at that and do we take advantage, or do we become the force that helps? Do we look into that space and understand the assignment in such a way that we bring, like, what we find within ourselves in the moment of adversity is beyond words? And I keep on seeing that there's a lot of the energy in separation having these type of conversations with someone. And I keep on seeing one of the reasons that this is coming through right now for a lot of the energy in separation is I can see a lot of energy talking about why they walked away from something and trying to articulate to another person and saying, it wasn't my first choice. It was my last choice, right? I hear this energy saying the difference between abandonment and self-preservation is when we abandon something, we move away from it as soon as it's not working in the way that we aspire and desire. Self-preservation is trying to fix something until the point comes, and again, this is the warrior energy, in recognizing that something is not moving in the direction that you aspire it to go and that there's nothing that you can do to change the nature of it. Right? I see a lot of this energy right now building into new connections, working through a lot of very complicated stuff. But it is that working through the complication, the mindfulness I see of energy trying to navigate something wherein they're recognizing one another because they're saying to each other in that space, I am someone who cares. I am like, this is the energy. This is why I keep hearing the energy in separation that says, say less, because this is the energy saying, I've been there. Right, I hear this energy building into new connections as someone's interrupting and going, I'm not interrupting because I don't want to hear it. I'm trying, like they're talking over each other because they're saying, I experienced it too. I know exactly what you're talking about, right? And I can see this, like, and that's why I see even now, and at the same time, and we talk about this, like I feel like there's a little bit of a different disparity that's occurring right now between, and I keep on hearing this coming through. Say less and stop talk. Like you're still on this, right? Because when we're in a space and we're trying to heal something with another, and we understand and recognize, we say less, because we say we want to progress the conversation forward. We're on the same page. We can move forward on that. But again, if these are experiences wherein, again, someone's trying to come towards you and they're saying you're still on about it, right? Often when we're working through something and another person comes towards us and they're resistant, like they're not in alignment to us, right? It often is that space that someone says, "Oh, you're being a broken record again. You haven't let this go." We don't let anything go, right? And this is why we talk a lot about the fact that in a healthy connection, everything is on the table to talk about. And that's not like, because that space of finding, again, an apology is a solution, right? And I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy right now at the same time that they're building into the context of a new energetic connection, potentially with someone that says, say less. There's a lot of energy potentially they're working through. And again, especially in those connections of someone trying to come back, hoping that time would erase something. And then someone having to remind someone and say, time does not fix things. Time is not an eraser. It's a bookmark, right? And that's why if someone's saying, "Oh, you haven't let that go yet," someone's saying, "No, I haven't erased anything." Time does not fix things. Time bookmarks them. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the energy that I keep on seeing is, recognizing. I keep on hearing the energy coming into divine union is recognizing the task. Recognizing recognizing what it takes to move in a determinative fashion, right? And that's not that moment. And I keep on hearing the energy that's working through the context of, I keep on hearing, it feels good to say sorry, right? It feels good to say sorry. But when we're in a space of being mindful of others, we sometimes recognize that our apology might not be restorative. It might reopen a wound, right? So that's why I keep on hearing that a lot of the energy coming into divine union they're warriors, because they're being very good surgeons. They're being very good surgeons to understand and recognize what feels like the apology that would cleanse something versus something that might reopen something and harm it in the process. So there's a lot of that discernment that's occurring. While for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union right now, I just keep on seeing a lot of this energy. Like, I keep on hearing bearing the soul. Like the gift being the bearing of the soul. And that openness and that understanding. And that's what's hard about this Venus in retrograde. Like, I keep on hearing the energy say, my arms aren't big enough. Like, my arms aren't wide enough to hold it. There's only so much I can do. And that's why I keep on hearing the energy that keeps on saying to the energy deep within divine union, like the higher self is saying, your job is not to move the ocean. Your job is to manage your drop. Right? Manage your drop. Just control what you can control. And in that space that you leave it to, and like, I get what your universe is saying, leave the rest to me. Like the universe is going, leave the rest to me. Manage your drop. And like, that's the thing that we do. That is the prayer that we say to the universe when we're working in that space. Help me identify my drop. Help me see what I can do. Work in harmony with me. And like, that is like, I keep on hearing, it's like, let your actions carry the song of hope into the horizon, right? Like, let your actions carry the song of hope into the horizon. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Wands and its reversal and our Ten of Pentacles and its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through with the Four of Swords, right? I need to point this out, and I need to stress this. Like, there's something really beautiful that's coming through as it relates to navigating circumstances where things don't work out the way that we hope or intend them to, right? Because often in those moments, we understand the value and the weight of our intention. Right. And this is why we talk about, like, when we're living in a place of authenticity, we let go of outcome, right? We move purely in the space of knowing what is in the shape of our own self. And it's often in those moments that even if we experience something that does not turn out the way that we do, the universe says to us as we look back, they go, would you do something differently? And we look back and say, no, I would make that choice again and again and again and again, regardless of the outcome, because I know it is the right thing to do. And that's what we talk about. And this is why so much of this energy in Virgo is coming through. Because when we look at something and say, that didn't work out the way that you expected, did it? And you go, no. And that's when the universe says, would you do it again? You go say, absolutely. And the higher self says, why? And you say, because that was the right thing to do. When we find that surety of self, when we confront our own authenticity, we often recognize that we have, like, choice in itself is an illusion. Because when we truly know ourselves, how we approach the world is not conditional to what we find there. It's conditional to what we find within ourselves in the experience of perceiving it. And so I feel like there's something really profound and beautiful about that that's happening, even in the wake of this alignment, right? Working through and navigating the choice. And someone, like, I want to tell you even now, I even see some energy being like, see what happened? Are you proud of it? And the energy going, and if someone else looks at something, and sometimes in those moments where you see someone coming through in a space and being like, hi, I've got one on you. It didn't work out the way you go, had nothing to do with that. Our choices are not about getting prizes. Our choices carry the shape of the person that we are with every step. And when we're moving in that, when we're on that journey, often we're not in that journey, and I need to point this out, like the healthy journey is often not one that you feel like you're working in that space. It feels like, this is what we talk about with selflessness, right? What do we speak about with selflessness is those moments of saying, I don't do this for me. I do this because this is who I am. And that's a lot of that Superman, like, that's why I feel like there's a lot of that heart chakra energy, because I keep on hearing that a lot of the energy in separation is bearing their hearts and saying something to someone to such an extent and saying, I feel the weight. I can see the energy saying, I'm bearing the weight of my authenticity, right? I see this energy saying, I understand that even if I bring authenticity to something, my authenticity does not fix things, because often if you bring authenticity to a place that another person is not ready for it, you can't, and I hear the energy saying that's why it's so hard, because the energy saying you can't, like, if someone else isn't on that pathwork with you, your authenticity will feel like a problem another person's trying to correct, right? When we're not in alignment, we try to bring authenticity to something and another person says, what are you doing? Right? Like, there's a lot of that space here. And I can keep on seeing that a lot of that energy in like that's why I hear this energy right now. They're going through a shift. And at the same time that they're saying to someone, oh, you're still going on about that, another energy saying, say less. Right? Like the energy going, oh, you're still broken recording it. You still haven't let that go. And the other energy saying, say less. It's not about letting go. Like, the energy is going, it's not about letting go. It's about identifying and recognizing where the work goes, right? And when someone says, oh, you're still holding on to that, it can often be indicative of a moment of recognizing that someone that doesn't prioritize the same work that we prioritize, right? And that's painful. It's burdensome. And I feel like that's happening across all of the frequencies. Magician card in combination with our world card. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification with the 5 of Pentacles. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not saying this in a space of trying to create any sense of fear, right? And that was a lot of the journey as it relates to recognizing, like, remember that, like, a lot of that work that we had to navigate during the Mars retrograde was understanding and the value of the lesson that often moving with courage is confronting the fear, right? We are never out of energetic character. But there are often those moments that we hold ourselves accountable. Like, and often what do we say? When we hold regret to things, it's usually because we look at the past version of self that confronted a situation with too much fear, right? Like a lot of the work that we do in trying to mend things, we don't intentionally try to hurt. But when we navigate a space and we are in fear, we accidentally hurt those around us, right? And that's why we talk about this, the space of love being a brave space, right? Because when we are brave within ourselves, that is the gift that we expand to those around us. We don't take things personally there. We recognize and understand the nature of what another person is trying to bring forth, even if it hurts us, right? We work through those conversations. We unpack it, if you will. And what I see is happening right now across some of the frequencies is the difficulty between those that are trying to embody that journey, right? The work of embodying the journey and how difficult that is versus the work that tries to project it, right? And when we're trying to project it, it's very easy to look around and say, well, they're the problem. That's the problem, right? Instead of saying it's a problem. And that's happening across all of the frequencies. It's a lot of that work. And I got to tell you right now, it's not like we get on it's not like we get on a spiritual journey and the abandonment wound disappears. The abandonment wound is always with us. Healing is just navigating what we do when the abandonment wound is before us. like it's not about it going away. It's about what we do when it arrives, right? And recognizing that we have the power of ourselves to confront it. This is what we talk about with shadow work, right? We look at our shadows and say, I love that person there. You know, I love that version. I love every aspect of the self. And that doesn't mean it's perfect. But when we experience the darkness, we're able to be our own flashlight through it, right? Continuing to get clarification between our world card in combination with the tower in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Yeah, especially with this moon card. In its reversal. Those who try to teach lessons don't understand the assignment. Those who don't try to teach lessons don't understand the assignment. The world is not a space of feeling. When we try to teach each other lessons, we're trying to force our pathwork on each other, right? And that's that moment that we recognize and identify that space or that place of being in a like, I want to say, like in a place of positivity, of recognizing and doing that work. For a lot of the energy in separation, I just keep on seeing that this is the energy that is bringing forth that sense of authenticity as it relates to those connections. Finding that certainty, finding the power of one's own voice, feeling a lot of that work as it relates to navigating that space of, again, energetic surrender, but understanding that surrender does not mean giving up. It's identifying whether someone is on the pathwork that you yourself are on, right? Then the thing with the emotions is emotions sometimes cloud our judgment. It can make us hard to see something, right? And this is why we hold the space of the emotions that ask for things, but we don't just move into a space of giving them to others, right? We listen to what the emotions have to say so that we can communicate the desire of the emotions. And everything I keep seeing here, like these three cards together are incredible. Because we've got the Five of Pentacles, the World card, and the Moon card in its reversal. And what that really indicates is the beautiful power of when you are strong within yourself, the gift that you receive is being able to see through the illusion, right? Being able to see through the illusion of what the emotions desire to see versus what is there. Being able to see through the energetic illusion of the self, right? Our own blind spots, the spaces that the ego wants to step up. That's why healing is painful, because you see things with more clarity, right? And sometimes the things you see are not easy. But that's why we come into that space of navigating our shadow, because being able to find the strength to see the clarity of situations and then to be fearless in the wake of it, right? It's you have to harmonize both those places. It's just not about seeing clearly, because if you see clearly and all you feel is fear, you're gonna that in itself, like that's in the space of clarity, is sometimes can feel detrimental. We've talked about the fact that truth can only be received if one is strong enough to endure what one sees in the space of navigating a truth. That's why it has to be like it's dual coordinates of, again, a healthy spiritual journey is finding the strength of understanding of the self to see clearly, and then having the courage to navigate what you find there, right? It's a lot of that. It's that dual force within us, and that's why every time again we recognize identifying and navigating those coordinates is so vital and important. Continuing to get clarification between, and I keep on seeing here, like that is a lot of that work that's happening across all the frequencies, right? And that's why I keep on hearing that there's a little bit of energy right now as it relates to shedding, because when you're trying to work with someone and they don't get it, they either get it or they don't. like that's the thing. It's like, and that's the thing that gets frustrating. Like you're either there or you're not, right? It's either you're either seeing something from the same perspective, or it feels like you're playing tug of war. And so I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of this work right now as it relates to not just putting the same force towards things, but finding that pathwork of nuance. Like when you're in a place of being energetically mindful, it's not about the fact that everyone gets everything. You know what is needed and where it's needed, right? And that is the level or degree of care, because you put that work where it's necessary and important, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Tower card in its reversal in combination with our Four of Swords in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Cups. It's not easy. It's painful. It's hard. And I'll tell you right now, I don't want you getting too hypercritical right now. We're going through a Venus in retrograde with a Mercury in retrograde, with a lot of this expansion of the eclipse energy. And I'm telling you right now, it's a lot of that, like, are you sure? Like, it's a lot of that, like, are you sure kind of energy, where it makes us feel very scared. And I think this is what we talk about with shadow work, because when the universe says to us, are you sure? We look back and we go, did I stutter? Like when we're feeling the certainty of ourself, like we don't come into that space of feeling shaky. And this is actually what we talk about with matching energy in a positive way, right? Like that's what we mean about like not matching energy. It's not like, are you sure? And someone you being like, well, now that you said it like that, I'm not sure. Like really matching energy is when the universe says, are you sure? You go, did I stutter? It's feeling that sense of being like, I'm sure. And I feel like, again, but I have to tell you, and this is why it's beautiful right now for the energy in separation, because I see this energy being like, I hear this energy saying, I'm not sure. This is how they're recognizing each other. This is how the new energetic connections are recognizing each other. I can hear this energy going, I don't know if I made the right choice. And I need to point this out. Not saying I don't know if I made the right choice. I hear this energy saying, I know that I did the right thing. Right? This is the energy saying, like, it was an impossible choice. I know that I did the right thing. Right? Because that's the energy that's saying, like, when we navigate a situation that's complicated, right? Like that space of feeling like, and this is the energy that's saying, I know I did the right thing, because this is the energy says, I know my intentions were pure as it relates to what I felt I could, like, what could be healed versus what was getting worse, right? And that's the thing about it. Like sometimes I feel like this is like some of that pain point that I see. Like when we're on path work with energy and it feels like we're not in alignment, we sometimes have those clarifying moments that says, I feel like the best thing I can do in this moment is depart. Right? Like I can see some of this energy, and that's why I keep on hearing this energy that's saying, like, these three cards in combination is like painful, because we got Five of Pentacles, Moon, and Four of Cups. And this is the energy that says, I cared about someone and I made that choice to leave. And it was the hardest choice I made because I knew it was the only choice, because I could identify what was a place that could be healed versus a problem that was perpetuating, right? And that's why I keep on hearing, like, the thing about this is when we're in a space and we understand our own energy and we bring it into some spaces and others are projecting and they're being triggered by it, like, that's often why a lot of energy will just move away from something for the sake of recognizing what is within their power to change versus what is outside of their power to accept around situations. And that's why I keep on hearing this energy saying, no hard feelings, because this is the energy that says, I understand the nuance of complication as it relates to what one can change versus what one can accept, right? And often the paradox is sometimes the best thing to do is the hardest thing to do, right? Well, for a lot of this energy coming into divine union, this is why I hear this energy saying, I've got an apology for that person. It's on the shelf here. It's like the energy's like they've got a trophy wall of apologies, but they're not showing them off. It's a sacred room within them, right? Because this is the energy that says, should the day ever come that I can have that conversation, should the day ever come that I can have that heart to heart, I'll do so. But I'm not going to chase after it, because I recognize that the same desire to want to remove something from my heart doesn't mean someone receives it in the same fashion, right? That's often when someone's like, oh, I'm so glad I got that off my chest. Another person just feels like they're drained and weakened by it, right? And like, we don't heal on that. We don't heal on a journey of being like, oh, I feel great. You look terrible now. But, like, that's that moment we utilize the discernment as to what feels like when it look like good, feels good is good. Right. And I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that energy that is utilizing that same power of discernment as it relates to what they feel, the conversations that they, and I keep on hearing, they don't need the conversation, but it would be healing should the day ever arrive to have it. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separate, like deep within divine union, this is all breakthrough energy right now. I just keep on seeing this energy. And this is why we kept on getting with all the planets, like all the planets in Pisces, this is the culmination of like all of this energy that's been building up during like the year, because there's too much Pisces energy. What do you do with all that fish? You get creative with it. You give it away. You get creative with it. You find new language. You find a new form. I would not be surprised if next month is a place of new words coming into focus, new discoveries, new breakthroughs as it relates to how we perceive things. Because I keep on getting that this is what we talk about with multidimensionality. Things are getting more dimensional now that we've moved out of Pluto in Capricorn into Pluto more in Aquarius. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Pentacles in combination with our Moon card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Yeah, it's all of this, like, and I got to tell you right now, it's getting things off the chest in refreshing ways. Right? Like, and it's a lot of, but it feel like, and that's the thing about, and this is the thing, right? It's and it's requiring, like, I keep on getting, it's like, it's, so the reason I'm halting is I'm trying, like, again, I'm also trying to find the words for it. It's a lot of work that's happening right now in healing wounds of intimacy, right? And a lot of that work, and we talk about this, like when we are in a place of being unhealed, it feels like we can't see things as much because we're unconsciously, like, our blind spots, like we're almost like avoiding things, right? And so a lot of that, like, I keep on seeing, like, a lot of that space of opening is it's allowing that context of understanding. Right? I keep on seeing like the gift of an open mind is that you don't shy away from a difficult conversation, right? You're here for it. You're like let's get into it, right? Like you long for it. And there's a lot of this work right now. I keep on seeing that's coming through. Like it's a lot of this like longing, man. It's like a lot, like I got to check on this because I think it has to do something with where Neptune is, because Neptune's all about longing. Like Neptune's like, what's down there? Like it could be anything. But like a lot of like working through the fact that longing is a universal experience. Your longing, I hate to break this to you, like your longing is not yours. Like, we all feel that energetic longing. And again, you know, when we're in that space with it, when we've made peace with our longing, this is what we talk about with shadow work, right? Like it's healing. Like, and I keep on getting the same message. You know, the thing with trauma is it's learning when to put down the weapon. And I got to tell you right now, like, it's not that we want to get rid of abandonment wounds. Abandonment wounds are what keep babies alive, right? Like when a child comes into this world, they need that weapon. They need to feel like the trauma of coming through. It's like the cry of the child, right? Make sure that the child is remembered. But then again, if we don't realize that, like, often trauma is learning when to put the weapon down, like when to recognize that the thing that you needed to survive is now no longer serving you. Right? That's what's so difficult about it, because that's the work. It's not just moving into a space of peace. It's being able to identify what is needed in a situation versus what is not. Like I keep on getting like, this is not the place for it. Like there's a lot of that work of saying like, this is not the place for it. Right. And so like a lot of that discernment, and that's why I also see like a lot of that openness is trying, like if it feels like, and that's why I keep on saying like this is probably going to be a month of new things, because if we feel something and we don't have a place for it, we often get energetically inventive through that. We go, okay, we need a new place. Like we need a new place. We need new words. And that's happening across all of the frequencies. It's like working through the context of longing, but not in a space of being triggered, but being inquisitive, you know, being introspective. Continuing to get clarification between the moon card and its reversal and our 4 of cups. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because I feel like we just need to open centers right now to navigate the fact that Pluto is in Aquarius. It's like multi-dimensionality recovery center coming soon. Coming soon. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now. Like, yeah, literally, it's like we need a place to help identify the fact that nothing is simple anymore. It's like we need a place to help identify the fact that nothing is simple anymore. Working through that context. It's like navigating the energetic complication. How do I put this into words? There's a lot of things happening right now. I would not be surprised right now if you're not experiencing things that are cross-dimensional, right? And that often means like something that feels either like something that brings you back to a time that you've experienced before, or something that gives something from the past new meaning. Like that's what I keep on seeing with the fact that it feels very much like Renaissance energy, because often what is identified with Renaissance energy is understanding, like holding on to something and suddenly understanding what it's for. Like it's like, oh wait, oh, that's what that, like it's like it sometimes, and it's interesting, like that's why it's coming through. Like some things we hold, like it's giving a lot of that space of like, I'm glad I held on to this. I don't know why I held on to it, but now I needed it. Like it's a lot of that type of work is what I'm seeing. But that's what I and here's the thing about it, like you know. And that's why they're coming through with holding on to things, because the conversation for a lot of the energy building into new connections is I hear someone saying, they're telling me I'm holding on too tightly to something, right? And I can hear someone saying as they're healing in a conversation, you're not holding on you're not holding tightly to something if it's important, right? And when someone doesn't think that something is important, they'll often say to us, you're holding on to it too tightly, because it's that space of saying that we don't recognize the path work, right? Like when we're saying like, it's not about not holding on to things, it's understanding the reasons why. And so I keep on seeing that a lot of that energy is working either on someone that is holding on to something too tightly and it's making it impossible to be able to have an energetic breakthrough with them, which is potentially happening right now deeper into the frequencies, or energy and separation that is working through the context of feeling like they are the problem because they're not letting go of something and building into a new conversation of an energy that's in alignment that says you're not holding on to something too tightly if it's important. You're not holding on to something too tightly if it's important. Final card for today's spread, between our Eight of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Two of Swords. Yep, I already knew this. Like, here's the thing. And I'm going to say this in a way, that you have to understand. The lessons, the work that we do in the universe always has a catch, but it's not a catch. It's understanding that there is a lesson, like there's an exception that has to do with the other lesson, right? So one of the things we've talked about, for instance, is we've talked a lot about here about the fact that your emotions are never a burden so long as, here's the catch, right? So long as you are doing the work of understanding what the emotions are asking for and then giving them to another person in that context. So we don't say to someone, I'm angry, and that's your responsibility. Say, this is why I'm angry. Like, as long as we're doing the internal algebra, our emotions are never a burden. But if we're not, they always are, right? So this is what we talk about with navigating the catch, right? In the context of understanding the nuance of the previous lesson that makes it such. So again, your burden, like a good example of that is saying your emotions are never a burden unless you're not doing that internal algebra. If you're just dumping your emotions on everybody, then then they're a burden, right? And so we see even now it is very similar. Holding on to something, right? When we hold on to things, we become bitter if they're not serving us, right? If we're holding on to something and it's not serving us, a good indication of the fact that we need to let it go is if we're becoming bitter because it's poisoning us, right? And when we get poisoned, we get bitter. But so it's not about letting go of everything. It's about holding on to the things that are important, right? When we're in a space that we hold on to something, we don't just try to let everything go. We're able to identify why we are holding on to something. And it is in the clarification of understanding why we hold on to something that we find the healing. That is why the wounds that we carry become the elixir. Because again, when we hold on to something that we shouldn't be holding on to, we often get bitter. It starts to poison us. But when we hold on to something, because the more we understand it, the more we understand ourselves, it becomes the elixir because it heals us, right? So it's not about letting everything go or holding on to things. It's understanding why you're holding on to the things that you're holding on to. Bottom of the deck on this reading, Eight of Cups in its reversal. It's the same thing. It's like it is working through the universal catch, and it's helping to qualify and understand. And this is a difference between, we cannot work in the space of just rules. Rules are flat. The reason that we understand that a good rule is multidimensional is because there's always a catch, right? It's understanding, right? Like, just like light catches, it's understanding the difference between embodying a lesson and just trying to do something because it makes it easier. So a lot of this work is having to navigate the nuance of the fact that a lot of these things, like, you can't just say, like, and that's why I keep on seeing it's qualitative, because it's understanding. And I keep on seeing, like, the difference between someone trying to, like, cut to the good part versus someone trying to understand the assignment, right? And when we're doing the assignment, things get more complicated. You can't just put a patch on it, right? You can't just feel validated. And they're saying that a lot of this work is helping, like, our ability to recognize, and that's the thing, our egos want to, like, this is why it's coming through. Our egos want to validate anything. Like, our egos want to validate anything. Our egos, our buddy, is always there trying to give an explanation. But a lot of these moments of understanding and utilizing these helps us determine whether what the ego is saying to us is protective or overprotective, right? And often, again, it's like, if you cannot find an explanation for it, it's usually the ego, right? Like, and I think a good description of this is when, like, when we're triggered by another person. I hate that person. I can't stand them. Okay, why? I don't know. I just don't like them. Really? You hate them, but you can't understand why? You can't explain it. They just that sounds to me like that's some confused love, right? Like that moment, like when we want to project, like when we're in that space, like our ability to identify the reasons why we don't like things help us determine the difference between why we actually don't like something versus being afraid of something. And when we don't like something and we can't explain why, it's usually because we're afraid of something, which means it's usually hiding a blind spot, right? The egoic blind spot that is articulated in not being able to explain the reasons why we're holding on to something is usually understanding the fact that we can't see something about it, right? So there's a lot of that work as it relates to, being able to articulate upon displeasure that helps us identify what is coming from the ego that is afraid versus the higher self that is able to provide the explanation. Because the higher self always knows and the ego always wants to defend. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can do so on my website. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Wheel of Fortune card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Justice card. If you would like to become a part of that class program, all you need to do is become a paid subscriber to my Substack. Your subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to, as a monthly subscriber, over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll do my best to explain everything that we've studied thus far, but the material is there for you to receive when you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library archive. You'll also have access to a complimentary mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally and assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your intentions towards your personal tarot goals moving forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're just joining us there for the first time, and I look forward to seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal development goals and spiritual journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to offer now dream interpretation readings. Those can be purchased on an individual level or as a series. I simply ask, if you purchase the series, that you make sure that you keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the core messages and meanings coming through the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.